Is disability shelter really a shelter increase? I mean, really? Really? We're going to talk about that next. And there's just another few other topics that we're going to blend in with today's show. So don't be confused thinking it's just going to be just on shelter. It is, but it is connected. So is it really just shelter? Really? But it is connected. Makes sense, right? Well, we'll find out more. Hello, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frain, brought to you by Victoria, British Columbia. Well, and
Brought to you by Tim
because
Hortons and Michael Bublé.
yeah, because that's where I am in Victoria, British Columbia, the capital region. And Neil Matheson's joining
Don't we
me.
have don't we have Tim Hortons and Michael Bublé being our official sponsor yet? Or
Oh,
is that only in my swelled head? Do I
well,
do I do I
that
only
would be
think
nice
that
if they
Michael Bublé
were.
is sponsoring us?
That would be nice if they were actually one of the sponsors. If you would like to be a sponsor to PWD Allies podcast, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to promote your product and service. Neil, thanks for joining me from Surrey, BC. It's a cloudy day here in Victoria, a little bit overcast, but not too bad for a fall day. Well, a fall day, we can turn a fall into a bright day because yesterday, we'll start off first, actually, just to kind of get the big news yesterday, which was on the 13th, Thursday, the 13th of November. There was a big announcement. Sonia and myself, we got picked up early in the morning to go out to a press release out in Nanaimo, British Columbia, with the Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction. It was a spousal cap, and they finally eliminated after decades and decades and decades. It's always been in place. Obviously, it was never changed. Where if you're cohabitating with another person, a partner, you're married or whatever your relationship status is, where it would be under one check versus two. So they've now changed, the government has now changed the rule so that now each PWD in the household, PWD in the household will
Yeah.
now have each separate checks. So now they've got the dignity, they've got the respect, they've got the autonomy to make
Yeah.
decisions for themselves. If they're trapped in a abusive relationship or they're fleeing violence,
Well,
whatever.
to me that is the biggest
Oh,
win.
it's a huge. It was
Is
a
it
huge win. It was a
is
huge win.
that it because we talk about people being trapped in abusive relationships all the
Mhm.
time,
Yes.
and that will definitely help. Just particularly that one thing,
Yeah.
because I have heard stories of people being trapped in a relationship because they're so dependent on the other person, and
Hmm.
so at least this helps maintain the autonomy. But what we can get to is, yes, it's a big win.
Hmm.
Although, like I told you, and I know there's lots of people that are complaining, and me too. Don't get me wrong. Is that it's a big win, but only a big win in a special use case scenario.
Hmm.
So like it's only really helping those that, like, if you're a two-person couple
Hmm.
with that both have disabilities, then
Hmm.
it's great. If you're two people with both those disabilities, and then you're, like you said, you both have the same autonomy. You don't have to like have any money clawed back from your check. So and that's very special use case. It's great. And like in
Hmm.
my
For sure.
with my first wife, who was in a wheelchair, that would have actually saved us, or earned us quite a bit more money, to not have to be on under one file, like to be on separate files and keep that
Yeah.
check would have helped. But now with my current wife, which I've had for 6 years now, and she's able-bodied,
Hmm.
like this does nothing for me. I mean, the clawbacks are still a thing. We have Michael from investigative investigative counsel joining us, and his comment, and I knew I knew he would say it, is they still have to get rid of the CPP clawbacks, and
Yes,
I
they do.
100%
Absolutely. Yes.
agree. Like notice on the thumbnail,
Yeah.
I
Shell.
had a little unicorn,
Yeah.
under the party cup, under the party cup, the red party cup.
Yeah.
You
The
know,
shell game.
the whole
It's the
shell
shell
game
game.
of like hide the pink unicorn. And I mean, the pink unicorns are still alive and well because the clawbacks are still a thing. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know,
It's like the how it is that when you got two PWD right now, how the old system is, because now it takes effect immediately on your next PWD check, which will be November 19th this year.
mm,
It falls on the 19th. So when the government had mentioned, the minister had mentioned that people are going to benefit from this because it was just a top up. So it'd be two PWD on one check. I mean, so it's like you said, two PWD checks, it would be like have a bump up. Now you're
mm,
going to get two full PWD checks. If you opt out of a bus pass, you're going to get $15.35 a month, a $52 value. So you get $15.35 maximum, plus any other subsidies that you may qualify for, vitamin supplements or nutritional supplements. But you have to apply for them and also have the condition in order to get those supplements, right? So I
yeah.
mean, it is a win. I mean, I must say, yeah, I mean, congratulations on the government for getting that part done. There's obviously,
They want to slap themselves on the back. You know,
yeah, I mean,
congratulations to us. And
yeah,
like
it
again,
is great, but they still need
yeah,
obviously a lot more that has to be done. I mean, in my view, it would have been great if they would have done all of this at once, like
yeah.
ended all clawbacks. Unfortunately, they didn't.
It,
I mean, so I take the win as the win, but I
yeah.
think the clawbacks were the earnings exemption part is where I'm going to get to now. Is that part? I think it should have been done all at once. It wasn't, where they claw back the earnings exemptions. Now, one
Well,
person of a PWD will get a bump up in the earnings
yeah,
exemption, and the other
yeah.
one will.
And again, in my case, like I said, I mean, it's great that they've increased the earning exemption, but that only applies to me. And right
Yeah,
now, I'm not working. So
yeah.
again, because I'm in a relationship with an able-bodied wife now,
Hmm.
it has no bearing on her. Like it doesn't help my wife at all. It doesn't
Yeah.
help her earnings exemption. So again, this ruling, well, it's great for some people. It's a very special, very laser focused change.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a win. Don't get me wrong, it's a win, but
Hmm.
it's very special use case win,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really help. I mean, if you want to call it, is it fine to say mixed marriage of able-bodied versus or able-bodied and disabled couples?
Yeah.
Can you call that mixed? Can you call that mixed marriage? I don't know.
Yeah. No.
I don't know what the term is, but
About
I'm
that.
just saying,
Yeah.
if you're in that situation like I am, this does nothing for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because like I know we've talked about on one of the shows, well, maybe a few times, where I mean, high market rents right now. I mean, they're just outrageously high. They shouldn't be that way, but they are. I don't know what the solution is to fix it. I have ideas that I think could work. But in many cases, like I can tell you right now, everybody, like there's a unit in my building, and actually some other neighboring buildings around the area here. There's a lot of apartment buildings. In many cases, there are like 6 to 8 people living in a two-bedroom or a two-bedroom and a bachelor. I mean, yeah, 6 to 8 people. Now, are they all
which
in a
is just
relationship?
nuts.
I
Just
mean, according to the government, are they all
yeah,
in a relationship? I mean, how is
yeah.
I mean, the win. I mean, that's great. How so? Each person's now, if they're all PWD, they're all going to get individual incomes. But what
Yeah.
about earnings exemptions now? How is
Well,
that going to play out?
well, you and I were talking briefly, just I think mostly through text yesterday,
Yeah,
because I was fried because I was doing a bunch of my
yeah.
brain was fried yesterday because I was doing like my accounting from my church like all day yesterday,
Oh, I
and
know.
anyway, so you and I were exchanging text
Yeah,
and basically saying that they still have to make a lot of changes under the housing ministry, so
Oh,
that BC housing policies better reflect the changes that were made yesterday,
yeah, yeah. A
and
follow up to that, though.
yeah,
So when they had a press release on that, we had interviews there and talking to different people at the meeting. And one of the topics that I brought up and Sonia brought up and Jeff, we all had our chance to talk. And one of the topics that I echoed was that BC housing. I mean, as this is a win for PWD under the BC Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction, a historic, rule, should we say? It was a rule that was put in place, archaic rule that was very harmful. It was toxic, actually, to be honest, because it really hurt a lot of PWD. Now, did we win financially? If you are two PWD are already on two separate files, that this income, this announcement was no increase to the people that are on individual files. If you are already on one file, this is a huge win, like you mentioned, Neil.
yeah,
Great.
yeah,
But for going forward, though, one of my recommendations was that I said to the BC Green Party, because they were there too at the announcement. I said that it needs to be rent geared to income, like so that people who are paying market rent, it needs to be put over to extended over to the market, because right now people with disabilities have the shelter portion attached into their monthly statement. It will say support shelter, right? So
well,
if you have an address, well, yeah, you're going to get the shelter. But if you're in subsidized housing,
yeah,
you automatically get 30% of your income, RGI.
yeah. And
Now,
this is where we talk about have and have nots all the time, right?
yeah,
It's like, well, what is it now? It's 26% of all PWD. Is it 26% are
it's approximately,
getting
yeah,
the subsidy or getting some sort of
yes,
rent subsidy, and that means that what is the math? That means 74% aren't getting anything,
hmm,
and I don't know how doable this is, and this is a question for Sheila Malcolmson, and actually I would love to have her back on again, because
yeah,
this is a question that I would have for her. And again, I don't know how practical this is, but you know how they have in the buses, they have signs that says priority seating for
yeah,
people with disabilities, or people that are
accessible,
elderly. Yeah.
yeah,
And we were talking about how the housing file needs to kind of match up, or coalesce now with the disability file. And I,
hmm,
I was thinking to myself, like, the only way that would really work is if somehow, you know like right now it's Sheila Malcolmson who is the Ministry of Social Development
hmm,
and Poverty Reduction. And I was thinking, like, if she could somehow take on a piece of the housing file, where that was, and
yeah,
and like the disability housing file, like if they could
hmm,
kind of split that off and say, that the housing minister gets all the housing
hmm,
for kind of everybody else,
yeah,
and if Sheila
okay,
Malcolm could have that small piece of housing
yeah, for PWD,
specifically targeted to PWD, like priority seating, like I
yeah,
said, priority seating, like that's a mentality.
hmm,
That would go a long way, because
yeah,
that would give Sheila Malcolmson, or whoever's in charge, like, it's not going to be always
absolutely,
her, but
absolutely, Neil,
but
and
that
and
would give her more leeway to make more changes, give her more power to say, I want to do this, and have
yeah,
the housing that's done for PWD, have that be separate from everything, because I mean, housing is a huge file. and
yeah,
but
and
I
that's
think
why
you
the ministry should have two separate ministries, like they did temporarily for a while there, back in the late 1990s to 2000. The PWD had their own ministry's office, and the people on income assistance, or AKA welfare, as they called it way back when. I guess they wanted to make it more of a dignified wording or something. They call it employment assistance, BCEA, BC employment assistance. Well, people with disabilities falls under that main umbrella of the main part, where it should be people with disabilities should have their own ministry, should have their own access to subsidized housing, part of the housing file, where the Minister of Housing, it should, yes, you're right, Neil, it should be attached under, like, where the current Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction should have that communication between the
She
Minister
should
of
have a
Housing.
little bit more power, like
Yes,
like we always talk about jurisdictional power, right?
yeah.
But I really think it would help to be able to hand over a little bit
Hmm.
more power and flexibility over to the minister in charge of disability and say,
Hmm.
well, you know what, you now get a little bit more piece of the housing file
Yeah.
that's separate, and now you have more leeway and leverage to do your thing there too.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, there,
one
there
of,
was a person, like one of the media was asking me a question, and also there was the Green Party. We had a little interview there with the leader for the Green Party.
Mhm.
Yeah, Rob Buttrell. I
Right.
had a meeting with him too, and it was neat. It was like, wow. It was like when a recorded meeting, and right in the same building there. And I brought up the topic regarding, this is a huge win. Today's announcement. I mean, obviously, there's more that needs to be done on the clawbacks and stuff. And he says, right. He basically acknowledged that. I said, I have a really a huge concern, which now, I mean, sure, this is great announcement today that the people that are under one file, they're going to be two separate files.
Hmm.
I mean, this is a great achievement. I mean, historic achievement. But I said, my concern that I have is that people that are trying to get into BC housing, there's like at least a 14-year waiting list or even
Yeah.
longer. Now, the people that are on that waiting list to get in, the rules that BC Housing has in the province of BC, everybody, is that you have to be under one file,
Yeah.
one file.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the same thing as that what the Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction announced yesterday on the 13th of November here, early in the morning. It was a great announcement, but BC Housing is messed up. Like they still have that policy in place where now it doesn't count for people in going into BC Housing,
Yeah, and this is where
right?
I'm talking. This is where I'm talking about that priority seating idea,
Yeah.
where like if you have priority seating on the bus for people with disabilities,
Hmm.
and like I said, if Sheila Malcolmson or whoever the minister is
Hmm.
had a little bit more leeway to say, I get to have this little piece of housing
Hmm.
that's specific for priority PWD,
Hmm.
then maybe that those things would change, right?
Yeah, because
Um,
in the market housing, like, I mean, with that announcement, yeah, like if you're two separate files, like there is no you don't get any financial increase. And now people in subsidized housing, you've got that policy still in place. So sure, you get to pay rent geared to income, but you still got that other hurdle that
yeah,
policy is in place. Now, obviously, advocacy wise, yeah, I'm going to push the ministry, and the government to increase the rates,
yeah,
immediately. I don't see them immediately doing it, but we'll use the word. It needs to be increased up to no
yeah,
less than poverty level financial support. Um, Rob did mention at the meeting that, yeah, like it's no less than $2,000 is what the rate should be. Well, we know that the market basket measure is even higher than two, but I
hmm,
mean that's kind of the point that he made was people should not be having to suffer. They should not be having to live in poverty.
yeah,
Poverty should not exist. I mean, rent geared to income. I still think it should be extended over to market housing and just get
yeah.
rid of the
No, for
barriers,
sure. Yeah,
because that way people, I mean, can thrive. I mean, if it's average rent that's out there right now, I mean, rents. I was watching on the news hour and a lot of articles on social media. Oh, rents are coming down. They're coming
yeah,
down from the top end. They're still really
yeah.
high.
They're
They're
still high. Yeah,
You can't even rent on a whole PWD check, let alone anything else. And the
I
market. just yeah, it's messed
Yeah,
up.
I wanted to get back if I
Yeah,
could just a little bit,
sure.
because Michael again is in chat and he had a good comment. And again, this is going back to the whole clawback
Mm,
question. Like he's big on clawbacks, just like I am.
yeah.
We're both like talking about pink unicorn clawbacks all the time.
Well, we got
And
lots
his
of
comment is it's catch 22, and he says
mm,
it looks like this. If you are on disability and suffer a clawback of federal benefits, you are not eligible for the safer rental assistance. So you are left with just $450 to $500 a month for rent.
right. Yes.
So I mean that is the ultimate catch 122, right? Is that
Hmm.
you don't actually qualify for any subsidy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and that's yeah, and that is something that I remember once upon a time, and I've talked on the podcast before regarding my late mother. Actually, my mother and my mom. uh, but my mother, my mother hadn't gone through that. My mom did, and my mom I call is because I was brought up by my biological mom, who like I got to know her, but my adopted mom, she had gone through the Safers program. I had told her like maybe there's some kind of program. I didn't even know at that time what it was
mhm.
called. One of my neighbors actually had brought to my mom's attention, and I said, I think there might be a program out there. And she said, yeah, it's called Safers. Our neighbor told me about it. I said, okay. So she went and applied for it, and it was at the time it was a government official that represented the file for seniors, but they
Mhm.
also represented a file for PWD at the
Yeah.
time. Well, I wasn't even on PWD at the time. I was working full time,
Mhm.
doing a job that I was able to do at the time. I was having obstacles at the time, and of course, I look back and I say, well, deja vu, like, wow, between then and now, it's like, wow, I was able to do all that,
Mhm.
but now,
Yeah,
the
me
body
too.
says,
It's just,
no, yeah,
yeah.
now the body says, wow,
Yeah.
you surely taxed yourself, didn't you?
You
But you know
can't
what?
do that anymore, Brent. You can't do
Yeah,
that anymore,
you
Neil.
know, and,
Surprise.
and my mom, well, I argued with my mom so much, and I can't take back with things that I said and to her, and but there was very tenseful times where it's like, well, if you don't like what I'm saying, then move, right? And I said,
Right.
well, move to where? Yeah,
Yeah.
market rents. And I was looking at it, I'm like, whoa, that's pretty high. And I said to her, well, you can afford to pay the rent now because I'm only billing you 30% of your income, Brent. My mom didn't even
Yeah.
knew about the 30% issue back then. And so, yeah, like 30% of it. Wow, okay, I've got more money in my pocket. I can go and buy a mountain bike. I can buy clothes. I was buying my own food and paid for my own phone line. Like, I mean, she had her own phone
Yeah.
line. I had my own phone line, and because I didn't want to tie up her line, and I was being very independent. And I liked that. And then I basically had to apply for disability. Like my mom made a
Yeah.
meeting with my doctor and blah blah, right? And my doctor said, "Are you sure you want to do this, Brent?" And I go, "Well, my mom says I'll be protected." Wait, and I
Mhm.
told the story about this where my doctor even believed that it was a pension at the time. He didn't
Yeah.
know that they had
Yeah.
changed it. And he goes, "Well, you will be protected. I just want you to understand that you may not get." Um, full increases as fast as you think that they will do this.
Mhm.
They will give you increases on a regular basis, which he
Mhm.
thought, but
Yeah.
maybe not as much as you want them to do. You won't
Yeah.
make as much as you are working full time,
Right.
but you will get by. Your rent will go up. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the story on that is that the yesterday's announcement is a win, like I say, for people that
It is a
are,
win. It is a win.
that
But
were on
for
one
a very
very small win.
small win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously there's more steps that
Yeah.
need to be done. And so I always say take the win as you can,
Yeah.
when you can.
Yeah.
And I was proud to be part of that announcement.
Yeah.
Because what I am going to say now is, so Sheila Malcolmson, who is the minister in BC of social development and poverty reduction for people with disabilities. She also handles the file for seniors. Like there's a lot of other things that the minister does, right? I mean,
Mhm.
CLBC, I mean, she's connected to that part too.
Yeah.
But they have other staff that deal with that too.
Yeah.
But she did make an announcement though. Right, when she got up to the pet to the what do they call it? Not the pedestal, the podium. Yeah,
Pedestal. Oh,
podium.
podium.
Oh,
Yeah.
podium. Podium. Sorry,
Pedestal.
brain
Pedestal is
lapse.
good too.
Brain lapse. Sorry,
Put her on
Sheila.
the
Sorry.
pedestal.
Yeah. Sorry, Sheila, if you're watching this. Yeah, my apologies. But she was so excited to give that announcement. She looked over, and I mean, we had a full room of people. There was media that were there, and I'll get to that point in just a few minutes regarding the media. Um, but Sheila gave her announcement, and it's the typical announcement that politicians will give at first, and acknowledging that this. Yes.
We've raised the rates 5 times.
Well, I actually
Did she say that? Did she say
no,
that?
no, she actually didn't.
Good.
But what she did,
Congratulations, Sheila. You're
yeah,
listening to us.
but when
Yeah.
I say typical announcement, I mean it was a typical like how they would start out with the acknowledgement of the success of different things that they've done, and that's great. But what she didn't announce was she said how they got to this moment of time, and she even acknowledged that it shouldn't have got to this point.
Yeah.
She said that she thanked the BC Green Party
Yeah.
for all the work that has got them to this point of when they formed government with the BC Greens, and then
Yeah.
to then again as an agreement that they have with the Green Party
Yeah.
right now, currently again. Um, it's not the same kind of agreement that they had in 2017 when they formed government, but they do have an agreement with the Greens of working together. But she said, then there was the finance minister, and there's the treasury, there's the premier. It's taken a lot of work to get to convincing them of all levels of government to get to the point where she got to yesterday. But she said, it ultimately comes down to two individuals in this room right now, and she says, Sonia and Brent. She said they are the ones who really pushed the needle to where we are today. And she said it 3 times. She mentioned our names
Yeah.
three
That's
times,
great.
and
That's
she
great.
said, like, congratulations to both of you for your strong advocacy work that have made this happen. And I thought, wow, like I thought, I looked at Sonia. I thought, oh no. In the back of my mind, everyone, I thought, oh gosh, she's going to ask me to come up to the podium here. Maybe I can ask Sonia to come up, and I knew
Is there
Sonia.
going to be cake?
And
Is there going
I
to
knew
be
that
cake?
Sonia would be camera shy, but she's come a long way. She's come a
Yeah.
long way. I
Yeah.
must say that to keep her confidence and believe in what you say going forward. It really resonates, and I've come a long way myself.
Yeah, me
In,
too.
you know,
I used to be very
camera shy myself.
introverted,
Yeah, I was so camera shy.
and not so much anymore. But
I
I just wanted to also again to get back to Michael again because
Mhm.
he hasn't been part of the chat for a while, and he always makes really good comments. So I just wanted to shout him out here. One of the first comments, or the first comment he made is instead of calling it an injustice being being a or instead of calling an injustice being fixed a win, let's call it a removal of discriminatory practices, and that's true. So that's the first thing he said, and the other thing he says, his first comment actually, if I'm going backwards, the next comment he said is BC Housing lost about 300 suites last year to fires caused by smoking.
Yeah.
Let's end smoking in public-owned buildings.
hmm
All the
hmm
private and stratas prohibited, and it's true.
hmm
And I also wanted to mention, and this is going to sound like I'm gonna say something very stigma laden, and I know the government hates it. Like you can't stigmatize things, but I'm gonna do it. Let's call a spade and realize that maybe some of the fires that were set were from people that were strung out on drugs, and maybe high, like smoking their crack pipes and causing fires that like I've said, like just in the building that I live.
Mhm.
Remember I told you
Oh, right. Yes.
we had issues with homeless people that were breaking in,
Hmm.
smoking in our garage and like lighting fires, and we had to
Yeah.
call the fire
Right.
department like I think it was 3 or 4 times.
Hmm.
And there was all kinds of like I said, needles and human feces and a whole bunch of garbage. And anyway, I'm just saying, like, that's kind of what bugs me is let's not be afraid. I mean, on one hand, I can agree that you shouldn't stigmatize people if it's avoidable.
Mm.
But you know how again we've talked about this before. I mean, I'm old enough and you're old enough to remember like the 80s and 90s when,
Oh, yeah.
especially in the Reagan era
The
where it
80s,
was,
90s, those were
where
fine.
it was like, just say no to drugs
Mm.
or like when you talk about smoking too, they have,
Mm.
you know, you look at a carton of cigarettes and I mean, I don't smoke, but you know, you have on the carton of cigarettes, you have a picture of a black lung and said like, this is what happens when you, when you smoke, you know, so that is a version of stigma to prevent you from doing something that's very unhealthy.
Mm.
Like, because I mean, you know, that's why they put a picture of the black lung on a package of cigarettes is to discourage you from doing a bad thing. And I don't know why the government is so averse to saying like we can't stigmatize drug use. Well, why not? Why don't you want to stigmatize drug use? Because it's a
Mm.
very bad thing,
Mhm.
and it's costing public funds, public taxpayer funds, like probably in the neighborhood of billions.
Mhm.
You know, like
Oh, well, I'll give you an
why
example.
not stigmatize it?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Like I'll mention about I mentioned about media. I'm going to mention about that. Then I'm going to jump over to the topic that we're talking about right now. So there was media that showed up, but unfortunately, a lot of media at the time yesterday were actually covering Mark Carney, his arrival into Metro Vancouver on Thursday. He was actually in the Metro Vancouver giving an announcement about infrastructure announcement. So a lot of the media were covering the story of Mark Carney there and David Eby, the Premier of
Mhm.
BC. So they were covering the story, what was going on there. We did have some media that was at our announcement for the MSDPR minister in BC. Some of the local media, Nanaimo, some of the news media there, and some of
Mhm.
the other media from Victoria. Unfortunately, I mean, so the news it got out there. I mean, and that's great to the media that did show up. Um, if you would like to reach out to any of us, like, please reach out. I mean, if you're watching this, I'd love to, tell you a little bit more about lived experience of my viewpoint of where where I saw that the success or the removal of the cap, the spousals cap,
Mhm.
and where I'd like to see things going forward. Lots of advocacy work that needs to be done and fixing things that have not been dealt with for since the whole system was built, really. And my vision of where I would like to see things at for residential, for PWD or people with low income, seniors. I mean, we can't, everybody, we can't forget, and we talk about seniors. I think I should be talking even more about seniors on the podcast because, I mean, seniors are seniors. People with disabilities are seniors. I mean, they have disabilities as we get older. Does it all have to end at 65 or as the federal government 74 or 65, 75? They keep changing the goalpost all this time. And, oh, you
Mhm.
get more money when you're 75 or 74 or 75, but you get less money when you're 65. Like really, do we have to keep pinning people against people? Like, just give
Yeah.
people a dignified amount. Oh, well, government can't afford it. Yeah, you can. Just tax the freaking billionaires. It's not difficult to do that. But getting back, though, I'm sure everybody's probably seen it on the news or you heard about it. I know maybe Neil, you might have seen it. I know recently in Vancouver, Vancouver, BC, along Granville Street, notorious for calls from the local fire department, the EMS, emergency, services, showing up there at a
Mhm.
hotel that used to be, it used to be um, quite a thriving hotel. I mean, for
Mhm.
tourism, and the government bought it. The government bought it from the hotel company and converted it into supportive housing. Now there's a pub, like a bar underneath it, owner
Yeah,
who owns
I've
it,
heard about, yeah,
and I mean, he says the restoration work has caused so much damage
yeah,
to his business, into the millions of dollars. It's going to cost,
yeah,
and he said it'll probably never get fixed.
yeah,
People probably say, "Well, why don't you just move? Why don't you just move your business?"
yeah,
Well, that's his business. I mean, but
yeah.
the problem is that the EMS has been called there over 2,000 times.
Yeah.
Over 2,000 times.
I mean, even our provincial government is been on record several times now admitting that
Hmm.
that space was never intended
Yes.
as a social housing complex.
Hmm.
And so if it was never intended as a social housing complex, why in the
Yeah.
is it a social housing complex? And if it was never intended to be one, like why force it in there and say, oh, like we're gonna make it one, even though it was never intended to be one. We'll just make it one, right?
Well, it almost
And
burnt down. I mean, and I mean, they lost units and they had to rebuild
yeah,
other units. And it's just been a revolving area. And I guess my huge question is, okay, so supportive housing, where are you going to put the individuals in that housing? Next
yeah,
June, apparently, in June
intense,
of
Brent.
2026, they're planning on closing it down. Now, displaced,
Maybe they can they can buy everybody an RV. Maybe that's
maybe.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Just buy everybody an RV and then call it a day.
Well, especially if they're not, if the government's not going to be even raising rates for people in market housing. I mean, I fear that with the more to do, that narrative of there's more to do, there's more to do. Well, it gets to a point where how much more to do? How long do you have to wait till they raise the
Yeah.
rate? It's like, again, my corporate manager always reminds me, well, so yeah, I mean, now so you're going to be going to this announcement. Well, that's great. When is that? So I say blah blah, and
Mhm.
so we went to it. Well, I mean, I could just imagine the words that are going to come out of the manager's mouth. So are they going to raise the rates though? I mean, they're going to.
Yeah.
I could see the government saying that, oh yeah, hey, we did this. It's more money in your pocket. Well,
Yeah.
that's great for the
And
people that have
that's
a
true.
file. Yeah,
That's
one
true.
file.
But
Yeah,
it's, again, it's for a very
yeah, for a
special
small
use
segment.
case.
But if
Yeah.
your individual files, there's no renting, there's no increase. The cost of
Yeah.
living, I mean, way above the roof. I think everyone can agree on that.
Mhm.
That the cost of living is way up there. I mean, your rent and your mortgage payments are up there.
Yeah.
But the government, there's no increase coming in. So I always say, where do you how do you get water out of a cloth? It's like wringing a cloth. You got water in there. Eventually, you wring it. There's no more water coming. Go. Oh, there's
Mhm.
one little driplet. Oh, eventually, there's nothing. So
Yeah.
there's a problem there. And I think if it was rent geared income, it's going to put more money back into the person's pocket.
Yeah.
They can actually put more money into their local community. They can thrive. And also, I mean, having disabilities, there's extra added costs that are on top of that.
It's the crypt tax. It's the crypt
Yeah.
tax.
And one thing that was mentioned, Sonia mentioned, to the BC Green Party. I must mention this, everybody.
Hmm.
Um, she said people having to crow fund. She mentioned to them,
Hmm.
and because we had a chance of having a media blitz, should we call it, right? I mean, it was like, what she would like to see happen, and she mentioned people having a crow fund for help because the government hasn't increased the rates up to the cost of living, like up to no less than poverty level financial support.
Hmm.
And I mean, jaw drops. There was jaw drops, and I said,
Hmm.
yeah. I said, like, they have to beg people for help, and there's no
Yeah.
guarantee. They're in there. I mean, I've witnessed.
Well, but and I mean, I've said this before too. Like
Yeah.
even with staying with the Ministry of Social Development, you have to beg for things like that too, like
Yeah,
beg for a clothing allowance,
yeah, or
beg
supplement.
for like a diet allowance, beg for this, beg for that, and it's just
Hmm.
like, why do that? Why lock things behind kind of a paywall
Yeah,
where we have to beg for every little special use case?
yeah,
Why not just raise the rates a little bit and get rid of the begging and like
yeah.
why do we have to beg for every little thing? Like, don't lock things away that we have to say, can I please, sir, can I have some more? Can I have some more, sir? Can I have some more, sir?
Can you,
Please,
can,
please.
but you need to prove why. Why do you need more? Why do you
Yeah.
budget better,
You
do
know,
better?
like, and it's funny. Like, I just thought, like, we're actually coming up to the Christmas season, and it's just like it reminds me of reminds me a little bit of Tiny Tim too. But
Yeah,
anyway, we are getting close to
close to
the end
the
of
end, yeah,
the.
of the show here.
We're
Yeah,
having a little bit of a shorter podcast today because I have to do more. I have to do more accounting for my church. It's the due
yeah.
dates today. I have to get that done. Um, but yeah, it was a good, and we kind of went a little bit off topic because I think you wanted to talk a little bit more about the COVID thing, but
Oh, yeah,
we kind of talked about that
yeah, we're going
already.
to be covering a little bit about that. I got Gemini, the virtual Gemini, Google Gemini. I
Hmm.
hope everybody enjoyed that segment. There was some glitches. There was a delay
Yeah,
Gemini doing that. But apparently, I guess it's just because Gemini even says they has to access the server to get the
yeah.
information and then relay it back.
The
Um,
longer your questions are, the more it
yeah,
has to think.
yeah, and it was interesting where Gemini was able to get gather information for me of the reasons why COVID, the supplement, what
Mhm.
happened with that. So it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to hear Gemini's take on that. And of course, this is going back as past tense now. However, of the
Mhm.
supplement, but it had a ripple effect of today's decision making, of the decision making of
Right,
people with disabilities in BC, of what they were able to do then and how it still affects them now.
right.
And that's why I figured it was like so important to maybe get Gemini to kind of go over that. And I asked Gemini if they Gemini remembers where I left off, and says
Yeah.
absolutely. So Gemini is all geared and says reach out when I'm ready to get things going.
At
So
the end of the day, it comes down to pink unicorns, right? I mean,
there's lots of pink unicorns.
if there's one thing that
They're
I'll
not real.
have on my tombstone, it was like, here's the man that that fought for pink unicorns, or fought against pink unicorns, I should say. And but yeah, there's still so many pink unicorns in government policy,
Hmm.
and like I've always said, we have to kill every one of them, and there's still so many of them.
Hmm.
And I know that Michael in chat will agree that all these pink unicorns have to die. And
Yeah.
like the there was a one win, with the
Spousal
special
cap.
clawback, but
Yeah.
it didn't go far enough. So
Yeah.
the pink unicorns are still there, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. And Michael, he's probably still in chat, and anybody else watching. When I say it's a win, I think they could have actually done a lot more all at
Hmm.
once. I
Yeah.
mean, it's great that they did what they, the announcement that they made. Uh, but financially, it's like, yeah, like you mentioned, Neil, it's going to go to a small portion.
Yeah.
With the cost of living, I think they could have actually made an announcement even at the time saying, and we are going to be raising rates and projected at a certain month because they December 1st they say that this takes effect, and then January 1st it was about it's about the earnings exemptions that are going to take
Hmm.
effect for based on two people at PWD, but they say one person of the PWD within of the family unit will
Hmm.
be able to make more, and the other person no. So
Oh,
again,
really?
yes,
Oh,
yes,
wow. So it's still you're still playing
that's what I'm
have
saying.
and have
That's
nots.
that's
Yeah.
that
I
shell
didn't
game, right?
realize that. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
yeah,
that. Wow.
yeah. So that's another part that needs to be obviously
Wow.
done. So the other part is a win, but the other part is
Yeah.
the claw. It's like a clawback, and I
Yeah.
think that's why a lot of advocates right now are seeing that and saying, "Hey, hey,
Yeah.
there's still that clawback. So, I mean, there's obviously more advocacy work that needs to be done to hold the government to account to fix these things. But it's like a little baby steps, right? Right? Like there's more to do, right?
There's all these baby unicorns, still all these
Yeah.
baby unicorns.
In my view, on a personal level, I think clawbacks, no clawbacks should be in place. I mean,
I
get rid
mean,
of all clawbacks.
and it like my thing is if you got rid of all the clawbacks, you'd finally have an absolute fair system.
Oh,
It would
yeah,
be fair across the board
it would be
because
logic. It'd be logical.
because then you're actually treating all income as income. Like
Yeah,
there's that poem a rose is a rose is a rose is a rose is who's I forget the poet's name now, but
I remember
it
that
is
one.
that there is that poet. It'll come to me after after you log off. But
Yeah,
and
I do
my
remember
thing is like
that.
income is income is income is income. Like all
Mhm.
treat all income the same. If you don't treat all income the same, it's discriminatory. It's discriminatory.
Yeah, you
It's
treat people with
know,
dignified respect, and
yeah.
you're going to get rewarded in responses. Um, I was asked if I wanted to go to a convention originally, and no, I'm not going to a convention. My advocacy is
Well,
I stay neutral. Yeah,
sorry to break in,
yeah.
Brent, but this weekend,
Mhm.
what's happening this weekend, Brent?
There's a NDP convention, going on, and it's people are
It's
going
a
to be.
leadership review for David
Yes, it's a
Eby.
leadership review that people are going to be basically voting and seeing if they want to keep the leader going or
Yeah. I
yeah.
hope he gets his. I know he's not gonna lose. It'd be almost impossible for him to lose.
They're saying
But
that he has to get
but
75% of
but I'm hoping he gets a little bit more of a reality check. You know, like I hope he gets dinged quite a bit and kind of realizes like, holy shit, maybe I should start doing the opposite. Like, a few podcasts ago, I said that David Eby got to start doing the George Costanza from Seinfeld. He has to do the opposite because everything that David Eby is doing is wrong. Like literally, ever since he's become premier, his gut instinct is entirely wrong. And I hate to say, like, I hate to pick on him all the time. Like I do. I don't like doing it. I mean, but every single thing that EB does, it's the wrong instinct, and he's got a lot of people around him that are just a bunch of yes men or yes women saying, "Oh, EB, you're great. You're doing." I mean, no, he's not doing great.
But
Like,
part of it is that it's the frustrations, and it's all part of advocacy, and like people, there's nothing wrong with it because it's like advocacy means that if if a politician is doing something wrong and they keep repeating doing the same thing wrong, then advocacy wise, I mean, it means that obviously that the system is something is broken, right? There's something broken. There's things that are policies or rules that are in place that need to be changed, and that's one thing that John Horgan taught me. When
mhm.
something is not working and it needs to be changed, I said, "Well, it just gets so frustrating, John." And he says, like I was there, he goes, "Yeah, I can tell you." Yeah, he says, as your premier, I can tell you there's a lot of things that need to be changed. And so yeah, I mean, and when I hear your frustrations
Yeah,
around the current leader or the current premier, David Eby, then yes, like there's things that need
yeah,
to be changed. And I mean, especially the part where when he came on the radio and I was asked to ask a question and about raising the rates because it was on
yeah,
behalf of on my manager who asked a question, and it was very divisive.
yeah.
It was, yeah, well, if you're
Just
not
get a
aware,
job, Brent.
yeah, just get
Yeah,
a job. If you're not aware, we've
yeah,
increased the earnings exemptions. Well, what does that
yeah,
have to do with my disability? What does
yeah.
that have to do with who I am? Like, I'm
Well,
asking,
we do have to punch out, like I
yeah,
said, Brent.
yeah,
I wanted to finish off with again a couple comments from
yeah.
Michael because they're good. He calls David Eby 180 Dave, and he says
one eighty days.
David Eby flip flops more than a frisky salmon. David Eby flip flops more than a frisky salmon. So that's
Sure.
kind of funny. So let's punch out with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I thank people for tuning in and enjoying our podcast. As always, please subscribe, like, and share. It really helps the channel grow. If you're in a position of helping the channel out, definitely the like button down there. Definitely send a donation if you can. If you can't, just I mean, maybe do your part of just subscribing and sharing the content to your family and friends and anywhere on social media. Just blast it out there. If you want to be a sponsor, reach out to us and help out the channel grow.
Come on, Michael Bublé. Come
Yeah,
on, Tim
yeah,
Hortons.
we can promote your product and service for sure. Again,
Bring us free donuts.
yeah, for
Bring us
sure.
free donuts.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoy your weekend and stay tuned to our next episode. It might be talking with AI for a bit, and then we're going to have a kind of a breakdown of like an overview of what AI had to say. So stay tuned to that segment on probably on Monday.